the Congressional Black Caucus June 17th of last year to Attorney General Sessions and Acting Director McCabe, expressing our concern over the alarming number of hate crimes, the rise in hate crime, and all of the other things, and asking this Congress to hold a hearing. So I want to thank you for doing that, and I'd like to insert that into the record because that was before Tree of Life.
Without objection.
That was before Charlottesville. So I want to thank you for stepping up to the plate and having this hearing. Let me just say, because we heard a pretty accurate description of the First Amendment, and I will not impugn any intent to it, but I think that there was one glaring omission, which is you don't get to yell hate in a crowded theater. And just because you're upset with your station in life and sitting in your mama's basement in your boxers, you don't get to spew hate that you know will incite violence because you can hide behind anonymity. It was said that we're fear-mongering, and the concern over white nationalism may be misplaced or even, I think it was quoted as stupid. I will just tell you that the families of the Emanuel 9, those were real funerals. Those are real kids without real parents. Those are real grandparents who were worshiping the Lord and invited the young man in and let him share with them their worship experience. And according to the perpetrator, he said they were so nice, they were so welcoming, I almost changed my mind. So I want us to put it back in perspective what we're talking about here. It's not just free speech. We are talking about inciting violence. We're talking about finding and influencing weak people to do dastardly deeds because the pain is very real. And now look, I'm equal opportunity and I'm very honest about how I feel. We know words have consequences. You can ask Congressman Steve Scalise. Words have consequences, and we owe the American people better rhetoric. But my fear is that we can't have 1600 Pennsylvania giving harbor and empowering people to feel that way. So with that, since we have a White House that is actually probably giving safe harbor and condoning it, let me ask the tech companies, because you all did say that you will inform law enforcement when you find bad users. Do you talk to each other at all? So that so if you identify somebody, will you then alert Google and Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and everybody? Do you all coordinate at all?
Thank you, Congressman. I'll start, Ms. Walden. We do have a strong industry partnerships. One's the GIFCT, and that is the Global Internet Forum for Counterterrorism. So in a case like New Zealand, for instance, when we became aware of that, our first priority was to work with the New Zealand law enforcement, which we did. We sent some of our trust and safety officials on the ground to be a resource for law enforcement. But one of the next steps we took was to upload the images into our AI, designate it as a terrorist attack, and then go work with companies like Microsoft, Twitter, Google, Snapchat, others, sharing that across the board so they could also be on the lookout and then enact their systems to prevent it.
I can just reiterate that the Global Internet Forum to Counter Terrorism is a body that the four companies founded, and in the context of New Zealand, it is a way in which we used hashes to ensure that we were minimizing the distribution of that content in the context of New Zealand. There have long been close partnerships between the companies on working on issues around hate and violent extremism and terrorism, and we find that that really enhances our ability to learn from one another in the ways that we're tackling these problems that are unique on our individual platforms.
Well, thank you. And I would just